Gentlemen, if you keep going back into debt, it's not because you're bad at math. You can understand interest rates. You can understand budgets. You can understand spend less than you earn. But you still end up back in the same place. Different month, different purchase, same trap. That's because debt is rarely a numbers problem. Debt is an identity problem. Debt is what happens when a man uses money to regulate emotion, when he buys relief, when he buys status, when he buys escape, when he buys a temporary personality, because he doesn't know how to sit in discomfort without reaching for a transaction. And the system is designed to help you do it. One-click checkout, buy now, pay later, tiny subscriptions. Just put it on the card. So today, I'm going to give you the real reason you keep returning to debt and the exact identity shift that breaks the cycle. Not motivational fluff, a framework, a set of rules, a disciplined system. Because until your identity changes, your income won't save you. You'll just become a wealthier version of the same spender. Now let's expose the loop. Here is the loop, clean and brutal. You feel pressure, you feel bored, you feel behind, you feel powerless. Then you buy something, not always a big thing. Sometimes it's food delivery, sometimes it's a gadget, sometimes it's clothes, sometimes it's a small treat, sometimes it's a subscription you forget about. The purchase gives you a hit of control. For a moment, you feel like a man who has options, like a man who is moving forward, like a man who is rewarded. Then the bill arrives, the interest grows, the anxiety returns, stronger now because you created a future problem to solve today's emotion. So you work harder. You promise yourself you'll be strict. You pay it down. You feel proud. You breathe. And then life hits again. And because you never learned to handle pressure without spending, you return to debt like a familiar room. This is why debt is identity. It's a coping mechanism you keep rehearsing. So the first step is not budgeting, it's honesty. Most men want the tactic, the app, the spreadsheet, the best method. But tactics don't work if your nervous system is trained to escape. If your identity is, I buy relief, then any budget becomes a cage you eventually break out of. Because cages create rebellion. So, we're going to define the real enemy, the debtor identity. The debtor identity is not a person who owes money. Plenty of men owe money and still act with discipline. The debtor identity is this: a man who believes, deep down, that discomfort is intolerable and money is his fastest anesthetic. Stoics would call this slavery to impulse. The Japanese would call it a failure of Shitsuke, daily discipline through repetition. You don't escape debt by becoming smarter. You escape debt by becoming the type of man who can feel pressure and still hold the line. And that requires two things. You must see your triggers. You must replace the ritual. So let's name the 3 triggers that create debt in most lives. Debt usually comes from one of 3 emotional spending engines. Engine 1, relief buying. I'm stressed. I deserve something. Relief buying is how men pay to avoid feeling. Food, rides, entertainment, impulse gadgets, anything that makes the day softer. Engine 2, status buying. I need to look like I'm doing well. This is the purchase you make so you don't feel small. Clothes, watches, cars, lifestyle inflation, expensive nights out you can't afford. Engine 3, chaos buying. This is when your life has no structure, so money leaks everywhere. Late fees, forgot subscriptions, emergency purchases, repairs you delayed, overdrafts, random spending because nothing is tracked. Different engines, same outcome, debt. Now pay attention. None of these engines are fixed by knowing the debt snowball or avalanche. Those are fine tools. but they don't stop relapse. Relapse ends when your identity changes from "I spend to feel better" to "I endure to get better." The Japanese word here is Gaman. Endure the uncomfortable with dignity. Debt freedom requires Gaman. If you can't endure discomfort, you will always rent relief. And when you rent relief, you pay interest, not just on money, on your life. So here's the identity shift. Old identity. When I feel bad, I spend. New identity. When I feel bad, I train. Train what? Not just your body. Train your restraint. Train your awareness. Train your ability to pause. Stoicism calls it temperance. Japan calls it discipline, Shitsuke, built through repeated correct action. Now you might say, but I need the thing. I need the car. I need the phone. I need the convenience. Maybe. But most needs are cravings dressed as logic. So we're going to install a filter that stops debt at the moment it's born. The moment you reach for the purchase. Because debt is rarely one big decision. It's death by 1,000 taps. And the solution is not willpower. It's a system that makes you pause long enough for the craving to die. Let's build that system. First, you must understand something dark about your brain. Cravings are time-based. Most spending urges don't last. They peak, then fade. But modern finance tech is designed to remove time, so you can't recover your clarity. One click, autofill, saved card. Buy now, pay later. That's why the thumbnail says debt identity, because the identity is reinforced by speed. So your first rule is simple: slow the purchase down. In Japanese household finance, there is a practice called Kakeibo, a budgeting journal built around awareness. Not just numbers, self-control. The questions are the point. Before any non-essential purchase, ask, do I truly need this, or do I need relief? Will I still want this in 48 hours? What emotion am I trying to medicate? What will this cost me in future freedom? Then you implement the rule, 48-hour delay on anything that isn't necessary for survival or work. You're not being cheap, you're training sovereignty. And every time you delay and survive the craving, you weaken the debtor identity. Now, delaying is not enough if your environment is designed for relapse. A man cannot out-discipline a world engineered to drain him unless he engineers his world back. So rule 2 is remove the weapons. Delete shopping apps, remove saved cards, turn off one-click checkout, unsubscribe from deal emails, block the sites you use when you're tired. This is not weakness. This is strategy. A Stoic doesn't stand in front of temptation to prove toughness. He avoids unnecessary temptation to protect virtue. The Japanese concept, Seijaku, inner quiet, also applies here. Your phone is not quiet. Your feeds are not quiet. Your ads are not quiet. They agitate desire. So create quiet. No shopping in bed, no finance decisions after 9 p.m. phone out of the bedroom notifications, off for anything that sells you something. If you keep the casino in your pocket, you will gamble when you're stressed. Now we address the hidden trap. Men pay off debt and still stay broke because they never build a new identity to hold money. Paying off debt is not the finish line, it's the doorway. Many men pay off a card, then immediately reward themselves with a new payment, a new loan, a new lifestyle, a new subscription stack. Why? Because the identity is still the same. I deserve relief. So rule 3 is, no reward that creates a new chain. Your reward must increase freedom, not reduce it. Reward yourself with a stronger emergency fund, a paid-off bill, a cheaper monthly life, a skill that increases income, a simple experience you pay cash for. This is Wabi-Sabi wealth, the Japanese appreciation of simplicity and the imperfect, the refusal to worship excess. Wabi-Sabi doesn't mean poverty, It means you don't need noise to feel whole. And that is the core of financial strength, not needing purchases to stabilize your mood. Now we get practical. How do you rebuild identity daily in a way that stops debt relapse for good? Identity is not what you believe. It's what you repeatedly do under pressure. So we need a daily ritual that proves the new identity. Here's the ritual. 5 minutes. Every day. Open your banking app once, not to panic, not to shame yourself, to face reality. Then write down 3 numbers. Cash on hand, total debt balance, today's no spend target. That's it. 5 minutes. Why? Because debt thrives in fog. Fog is where impulse hides. Clarity kills impulse. This is Kaizen applied to money. Continuous improvement through small daily reps. Not dramatic change, repeatable change. Then, you choose one action that strengthens your identity today. Cook instead of delivery, walk instead of ride, cancel one subscription, pay an extra small amount on the highest interest debt transfer, $10 into savings. Small actions don't look heroic, but they rewire the nervous system. And as your identity changes, your finances stop swinging with emotion. Now, we need to talk about the moment you fail, the relapse, because that moment decides whether you become free or you stay trapped. Relapse is not proof you can't change. Relapse is a test of what you do next. Most men relapse and then they collapse into shame. They say, "I'm an idiot." They say, "I ruined it." Then they spend more because shame demands relief. This is how debt becomes a self-harm ritual. So rule 4 is no shame spending. If you slip, you do not punish yourself with hopelessness. You do not cope with more purchases. You return to the system the next day like a disciplined man. The Stoics had a phrase, return to the work. Japan has the concept of Kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold. The repair is visible, but it becomes part of the strength. Your financial discipline will have visible repairs. That's normal. The point is, you don't hide the crack with more debt. You seal it with truth and a plan. So when you overspend, you do one action immediately. Cancel one expense, sell one item, transfer money to cover it, or add one extra payment to the debt, not to punish, to restore control. Now, let's address the deeper layer. Why some men remain debt-prone even when they earn more. If you are debt-prone at $2,000 a month, you will be debt-prone at $8,000 a month, unless identity changes. Higher income doesn't fix impulse. It just gives impulse a larger weapon. This is why "I just need to make more money" is a dangerous lie. Yes, increase income. But without discipline, more income becomes more lifestyle. More subscriptions, more car, more restaurants, more deserve. And then you look successful while being financially fragile. Stoicism is the antidote, not wanting what you can't afford and not needing admiration to feel valuable. In Japanese teaching, there's a quiet principle. Strength is calm. If your spending is emotional, your life is not calm. It's reactive. So the identity you're building is not a rich man. It's a stable man. A stable man can hold cash without needing to burn it. A stable man can feel bored without buying stimulation. A stable man can feel pressure without financing relief. Now I'll give you the exact 30-day protocol to install this identity so it becomes automatic, not a daily fight. This is the 30-day debt identity reset. Week 1, silence and awareness. No new debt, no exceptions. Track every dollar, cancel one subscription, cook simple meals, delete shopping apps, create quiet. Week 2, friction and restraint. 48-hour rule on non-essentials. Cash only for discretionary spending. Put the credit card out of reach. Literally. Freeze it if you must. Week 3, Kaizen payments. Pick a method, avalanche or snowball. It doesn't matter as much as consistency. Automate the minimum payment plus a small extra. Increase the extra by 1% each week. Week 4, replacement identity. Choose one hard thing daily that saves money and builds strength. Walking, training, meal prep, learning a skill, applying for better work, building a side income. The point is not perfection, it's repeated proof. Shitsuke. Because the debtor identity dies from starvation, when it no longer gets fed by quick purchases. And as it dies, you will feel something unfamiliar. Empty space, boredom, restlessness. That's where men fail, so let's prepare you for it. When you stop spending impulsively, you don't just lose purchases, you lose a coping mechanism. You'll feel boredom like a hunger. You'll feel restlessness. You'll feel the urge to do something, and your old self will call spending doing something. This is where Gaman matters, enduring discomfort without collapsing. You must expect withdrawal, not from money, from stimulation, from relief. So replace the ritual with something that gives real power. Training, when the urge hits a walk outside, without headphones, writing down what you feel instead of buying. Cleaning your room like a ritual of order, working for 25 minutes on a skill that increases income. If you do nothing, the craving grows. If you move your body and take action, the craving burns off. This is how you transform financial discipline into physical discipline, and the identity becomes unified. Now let's sharpen the final weapon. The sentence that ends debt relapse in the moment it matters. Here is the sentence you will use when you feel the urge to spend for relief. I do not finance comfort. Say it again, because every time you go into debt for comfort, you are selling future freedom to buy a moment of softness. A Stoic chooses freedom. A disciplined man chooses freedom. And you don't need a perfect life to choose it. You just need one moment of clarity at the edge of impulse. So, when you're about to buy something you didn't plan, you pause and ask, is this purchase building my future or pacifying my present? Am I paying for a need or paying to not feel something? If it's relief, you don't buy it. You earn peace instead. And peace is earned through order. Paying debts, saving cash, training the body, building skills, living beneath your means without shame. This is the core of debt identity. Debt is not the enemy. The identity that needs debt is the enemy. Now I'm going to give you a clean checklist you can follow starting today. No confusion, no complicated tools. Here's your starting checklist for today. 1 hour total. Write your total debt number. One number, no hiding. List every subscription. Cancel one immediately. Remove save cards from your phone and browser. Delete one shopping app and one feed that triggers spending. Set an automatic transfer, even $10 per paycheck, into a freedom buffer. Choose one debt and set the next payment date right now. Cook one simple meal tonight. No delivery. Prove obedience. This is not about being perfect. This is about taking back authority. Because authority is the opposite of debt identity. Debt identity says, I can't handle today. Authority says, I can handle discomfort without borrowing from tomorrow. And once you start living like that, your finances stop being a source of shame. They become a training ground. Now we close with a challenge, because viral videos spread for one reason. They force action. And this is not a video to watch. This is a video to obey. Here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, you will do 3 things. No new debt, not a dollar. 48-hour rule on any non-essential purchase. 1 daily rep that builds freedom. Cook, walk, cancel, pay extra, or build skill. Then comment under this video in this format. Debt, your total number. Trigger, relief/status/chaos. Rule, your one rule for 7 days. Example, debt, $4,200. Trigger, relief. Rule, 48-hour delay, plus no delivery. Public commitment creates pressure. Pressure reveals identity. If you want the next video, I'll make it. The Stoic plus Japanese money system that makes saving automatic. But first, prove you're not just consuming. Prove you're rebuilding. Subscribe to Iron Stillness for discipline, stoicism, Japanese principles, and financial strength. You don't escape debt by knowing more. You escape debt by becoming someone new, quietly, repeatedly, without negotiation.